The other story I'm going to read is Names for Water, which was just out in the most recent Asimovs. And this was a story, I was invited to be a guest at Fractal, which was a technology and science fiction conference in Colombia last year. And they have a theme every year, and the theme that year was Reinventing the Future, I believe was the full name. Daryl Gregory, who is here somewhere, I think, was at it also. They asked me to write a story for them, and it was going to be a very short story. I had 0 ideas. And so on chat with somebody, Vivi from Colombia, I said, I got nothing. I got nothing. And I said, give me a thing, anything. And she said, cell phone. So this is the story I wrote for her. It ended up evolving. It started out as kind of a finger exercise, but the longer I thought about it, the more I kept sort of piling, it started to engage me more and more, which I think is like when you're doing finger exercises as a writer, if you're doing it right, you end up, it stops being a finger exercise. Sooner or later becomes something that matters. And so when I get to the end of this, I'm going to try not to cry for a change. Names for Water. Paula is running for class when her cell phone rings. She slows to take it from her pocket, glances at the screen. Unknown caller. It rings again. She does not pick up calls when she doesn't know who it is, but this time she hits talk, not sure what's different, except that she is late for a class she dreads, and this call delays the moment when she must sit down and be overwhelmed. Hello, she says. No one speaks. There is only the white noise that is always in the background of cell phone calls. It could be the result of a flaw in the tiny cheap speaker, but is probably microwaves, though she likes to imagine sometimes that it is the whisper of air molecules across all the thousands of miles between two people. The hiss in her ear. She walks across the commons of the engineering building, a high-ceilinged room crowded with students shaking water from their jackets and umbrellas on the way to class. Some look as overwhelmed as she feels. It is nearly finals, and they are probably not sleeping any more than she is. Beyond the glass wall, it is raining. Cars pass on Laughlin Street across the wet lawn, water sprays from their wheels. Her schoolwork is not going well. It is her 3rd year toward an engineering degree, but just now, that seems like an unreachable goal. The science is simple enough, but the mathematics has been hard, and she's losing herself in the tricky mazes of complex variables. She thinks of dropping the class and switching her major to something simpler, but if she doesn't become an engineer, what will she do instead? This is Hala, she says, her voice sharper. Who is this? This is the last thing she needs right now, a forgotten phone in a backpack crushed against a textbook and accidentally speed dialing her, or worse, someone's idea of a prank. She listens for breathing, but hears only the constant hiss. No, it is not quite steady, or perhaps she has never listened carefully. It changes, grows louder and softer, like traffic passing, as though someone has dropped a phone onto the sidewalk of a busy street. She wonders about the street, if it is a street, where in the city it is, what cars and buses travel it. Or it might be in another city, somewhere distant and fabulous, Mumbai, Tokyo, Wellington, Santiago. The names are like charms that summon unknown places, unfamiliar smells, the tastes of new foods. Class time. Students pool in the doorways and push through. She should join them, find a seat, turn on her laptop, but she is reluctant to let go of this strange moment for something so prosaic. She puts down her bag and holds the phone closer. The sound in her ear ebbs and flows. No, it is not a street. The cell phone is a shell held to her ear, and she knows with the logic of dreams or exhaustion that it is water she hears, surf rolling against a beach, an ocean perhaps. No one speaks or breathes into the phone because it is the water itself that talks to her. She says to it, The Pacific Ocean? It is the ocean closest to her, the one she knows best. It pounds against the coast an hour from the university. On weekends, back when school was not so hard, she walked through the thick-leafed plants that grew on its cliffs. The waves threw themselves against the rocks and burst into spray that made the air taste of salt and ozone. Looking west at dusk, the Pacific seemed endless, but it was not. 6,000 miles to the nearest land, 90 million miles to the sun as it dropped below the horizon, and beyond that, to the first star, a vast but measurable distance. Paula likes the sudden idea that if she calls the water by its right name, it will speak in more than this hiss. The Atlantic Ocean, she says. She imagines waters deep with fish, floored with eyeless crabs and abandoned telecommunication cables. The Arctic, the Indian Ocean, ice blue as turquoise, water like sapphires. The waves keep their counsel. She has not named them properly. She speaks the names of seas now, the Mediterranean, the Baltic, the Great Bight of Australia, the Red and Black and Dead Seas. They are an incantation filled with the rumble of great ships and the silence of corals and anemones. When these do not work, she speaks the words for such lakes as she remembers, Superior, Victoria, Titicaca. They have waves as well. Water brushes their shores, pushed by winds more than the moon's inconstant face. Birds rise at dusk from the rushes along shoreline marshes and return at dawn. Eagles ride the thermals above basalt cliffs and watch for fish. Baikal, the Great Bear, Malawi. The halls are empty now. Perhaps she is wrong about what sort of water it is, and so she tries other words. Streams, brooks, kills, runs, rills, water summoned by gravity, coaxed or seduced or forced from one place to the next. An estuary, ponds and pools, snow and steam. Cumulus, she says, and thinks of the clouds mounting over Kansas on summer afternoons. Stratus, altostratus, typhoons, waterspouts. There is so much water, so many possibilities, but even if she knew the names of every raindrop and every word in every language for ice, she would be wrong. It is not these things. She remembers the sleet that cakes on her car's windshield when she visits her parents in Wisconsin in the winter. A stream she remembers from when she was a child, minnows shining uncatchable just under the surface. The Mississippi, broad as a lake where it passes St. Louis. In August, it is the color of cafe au lait and smells of mud and diesel exhaust. Hoarfrost coats a century-old farmhouse window in starbursts. Bathtubs fill with blue-tinted bubbles that smell of lavender. These are real things, but they are wrong. They are not names, but memories. It is not the water of the world, she thinks. It is perhaps the water of dreams. Memory, she says, naming a hidden ocean of the heart. Longing, death, joy. The sound in her ear changes a little, as though the wind in that distant place has grown stronger or the tide has turned, but it is still not enough. The womb, love, hope. She repeats, hope, hope, until it becomes a sound without meaning. It is not the water of this world, she thinks. This is the truth. It is water, rolling against an ocean sandy shore, but it is an alien sand on another world, impossibly distant. It is unknown, unknowable, a riddle she will never answer, in a foreign tongue she will never hear spoken. It is also an illusion brought on by exhaustion. She knows the sound is just white noise. She's known that all along, but she wanted it to mean something, enough that she was willing to pretend to herself, because just now she needs a charm against the sense that she is drowning in schoolwork and uncertainty about her future. Tears burn her eyes, a ridiculous response. Fine, she says, like a hurt child, you're not even there. She presses end, and the phone goes silent. A shell of dead plastic filled with circuit boards. It is empty. Complex variables. She'll never understand today's lesson after coming in 10 minutes late. She shoulders her bag to leave the building. She forgot her umbrella, so she'll be soaked before she gets to the bus. She leans forward, hoping her hair will shield her face, and steps out into the rain. The bus she just misses drives through a puddle, and the splash is an elegant, complex shape, a high-order Bezier curve. The rain whispers on the lawn, chatters in the gutters and drains. The oceans of the heart. She finds unknown caller in her call history and presses talk. The phone rings once, twice. Someone, something, picks it up. Hala, she says, to the hiss of cosmic microwaves of space. Your name is Hala. Hala, a voice says very loud and close. It is the unsuppressed echo common to local calls. She knows this, but she also knows that it is real, a voice from a place unimaginably distant but attainable. It is the future. She will pass complex variables with a C+. She will change her major to physics, stumble her way through the math components, graduate, and go to grad school to study astrophysics. 7 years from now, as part of her dissertation, she will write a program that searches the data that will come from the Webb telescope, which will have been launched in 2014. 11 years and 6 months from now, her team of 5 will discover water's fingerprints splashed across the results matrix from a planet circling Beta Leonis, 50 light-years away, a star ignored for decades because of its type. The presence of phyllosilicates will indicate that the water is liquid. 18 months later, the results will be verified. 146 years from now, the first men and women will stand on the planet circling Beta Leonis, and they will name the ocean Hala. Hala doesn't know this, but she snaps the phone shut and runs for class. Thank you.